We're Stacy and Sean, and almost 4 years ago, we took a leap, arguably a ridiculous one, and bought an old school in the middle of Indiana's finest cornfields to turn into our home. After more than 10 years living on the East Coast for jobs and med school and training, and then a global pandemic, and then the arrival of these little roommates, we decided to start looking for a quirky old house back in our hometown where we both grew up, and where we can hopefully fill out a whole cross-country team with a gang of cousins. When we were looking for a quirky house, we never dreamt we'd get this quirky of a house. We told a realtor that we were looking for something weird, a house with character, but when the school came for sale, even our realtor friend thought that this old school might be a bit too out there. His email to us sending the school had the subject line, "Don't judge me." When I got that email, I immediately started sweating, calling our families, and begged them to go see the school for us. And they did. My dad's take was, well, it needs a lot of work, but it's got good bones.
But you bought this school without ever seeing it in person?
Well, we grew up, so this is our hometown. And so we were in New York for 10 years, and then we drove by this school growing up, and I would always be like a little girl looking out the window. Being
so this is when y'all were moving in, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'd seen the school driving by it as a kid?
Yeah.
But never been inside.
You'd never been inside?
No.
That's a bold move, Sean, to buy a home that you've never been inside. That's an old schoolhouse. You don't know what's in it.
Yeah.
We saw it on FaceTime.
Yeah.
from our parents, but
Your
that was
parents
enough.
took the phone and you watched on FaceTime while they gave you a tour.
Yeah.
You really wanted a new place.
Yeah.
All right.
It has been overwhelming in every way, physically, emotionally, financially, and some days they've been pure magic. Others have felt like walking into a final exam you didn't study for, realizing it's a subject you've never even heard of, and somehow you're not wearing pants. And through it all, this place has pushed us to our limits and taught us more than we ever expected about problem solving, resilience, teamwork, and the power of family, community, and really good contractors, even when things feel impossible. 3 years ago, when the school was for sale, a lot of people thought the building would be torn down. And many people have commented to me, wouldn't it have been easier just to start from scratch and build something new? But even in the darkest moments of this journey so far, we've never thought that. We also believe that history and the stories that came before have value. Beyond preserving history and character and sustainability and quality of materials, charm, beyond all that, these buildings are anchors in our communities, and restoring them keeps them alive and reminds us where we all came from. Even if the restoration process does make you a bit cuckoo bananas. We've lived here for 5 months now, so figured it's time to give an updated tour. We still have a lot of work to do, and every time we think we're done with anything, the schoolhouse assigns us more homework. But it sure is nice being able to wake up in the space we've spent years building. Now, before we dive into the full tour, I want to give a few details about the school to answer some of the questions that I get asked the most. Backing up a bit in 2012, I became the third employee of this little company called BarkBox. I answered phones, customer service emails, ran to the post office, and I worked on developing the voice through content. Over the following years, I built a team of hilarious, dog-obsessed people and led that content team for nearly a decade. Then, in 2021, Bark went public, and I was able to use the money from early stock options to buy this old schoolhouse for $175,000 in Indiana. It will never not blow my mind that an English major who flipped Goodwill finds on eBay for gas money ended up standing on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. But life is weird. And we took out a construction loan to renovate the rest of the schoolhouse, and today that's our mortgage, the one that we pay each month for the weirdest home in town. Our school was built in 1914, and the kids who first went to our school came from one-room schoolhouses that they were shutting down. It was a school that served rural kids on the edges of 2 townships. And some of the memories I read that former students wrote talk about getting to school on a horse and wagon, not buses. Our school is really small by school standards. There's no gym, there's no cafeteria, there weren't even indoor bathrooms when this was an active school. The school actually had pit toilets outside for 100 students. And when it was open, our school served kids in grades 1 through 8. There are 4 classrooms upstairs and I think 4 classrooms downstairs. But as you'll see in the tour, the basement would have been some creepy classrooms. Our school closed in 1936 after 20 years of being open. And that seems like such a short time, and it is. But from reading stuff from the museum, I think the world just changed so rapidly during that time, especially in rural areas. The community also grew rapidly and the needs changed. And again, no bathrooms inside. After our school closed, it seems like there was a little trouble selling it, but eventually a farmer bought the school and it became a barn with cows and sheep and pigs and chicken and turkeys. A former student bought the school in the 1950s and she converted it into her house for her and her family. They held student reunions, did a ton of gardening, and put so much work into this place as well for the next 70 years. By the time we bought the school, it needed a new roof, and that's what was causing a ton of issues with water, or we needed to do so many repairs that you'll see a bit on the tour.
So I started a few videos back in 2021 here on YouTube, but I only got really serious about sharing the story in 2023 when we finally moved back to Indiana for good into our parents' homes because the school wasn't done. What started as just a side hobby has now become weirdly a job. And I've spent my whole career making content for the internet, making content for brands, and I've had some weird jobs.
You ready?
Yeah.
Where's Stacy?
But this one, I did not see it coming. And I have no idea how long I'll do this kind of thing. And the internet some days really makes you want to go hide under a rock. But for now, I love writing and editing and filming videos and being deep in the weeds of the actual content making with less managing things. And it's a lot of really late nights editing, but the fact that YouTube somehow helps us pay some of the bills and I get to spend more time with the kids, I don't take that lightly. And I'm beyond grateful to the brands that make it possible to keep telling this weird little schoolhouse story. So today's tour video is brought to you by Finn, and they're a company that makes top-notch supplements, toppers, and grooming products for the 4-legged members of the family. Really fitting to be involving this very important family member. Be sure to stick around at the end because I'm going to show you Pim's full suite of tricks. This girl was quite the star during our BarkBox era, and she's got some weird tricks because she'll do anything for a treat. Finn has this product called Pumpkin Plus that has been really helpful to have on hand to alleviate the stomach issues that the chaos czars of the house decide to inflict on any given day.
Yeah, is Pim always under your chair? You don't feed Pim though, do you? No, we don't drop food to Pim. No, we don't feed Pim from our plate.
It's dog food.
Just dog food.
And water.
Dog food and water?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And bones.
And what?
And bone broth.
And bone broth? Yeah.
Finn also has a line of supplements for skin and coat, for hip and joint, and we've just started giving these to Pim, and I'll report back in the next video how she's doing with them. I worked in the dog world for over 10 years, and pet supplements can be a crazy place. I really love that Finn is NASC certified, which means that they have to adhere to rigorous standards for quality control, ingredients, and they're consistently formulated to meet their health claims. If you want to get Finn for your own dog, click the link in my description or scan the QR code on screen for 15% off your first Finn order with Schoolhouse 15 at checkout. On to the trick show. Broke Pim's supplement into multiple pieces.
Grizzly bear. Grizzly bear. Good girl. Bless you. Good girl. Car wash. High five. Good girl. Break dance. Break dance. Good girl.
Break dance. Break dance. Good girl.
Inside voice. Good girl. And now for the Schoolhouse tour. If you've been watching all my videos, it'll probably be some highlights that you've seen before, but I'm just also trying to answer questions and give a better sense of the full before and afters of the school in each room.
Okay, so welcome to the Schoolhouse. Want to give an updated tour of everything that we've changed on the inside in here.
And we'll start with the outside. The first big thing is right here on front of the school, the front porch. The front porch has undergone enormous changes. When we bought the school, it had some steps made out of geodes and some solid concrete. but it was breaking in spots and it was a bit dangerous. So we had my friend Danny help us look at old photos of the school and design the front stoop back to what it was when the school was built. And don't worry, we did save a lot of the geodes. Matching the new brick to the old brick was hard, but we did it. And Dawn and Gabby from Masonry by Moeller rebuilt the front steps back to what we believe it looked like in 1914. After the porch, we also added a couple sidewalks, some lights, and soon we'll need to figure out landscaping. But for now, let's go inside. Right at the front entrance, there's one of 2 custom mosaics that I made back when we were living in Philly for a year. Sean had to work a ton of Friday and Saturday night football games, and we only had 1 kid at the time, so I did a lot of research, and at nights, I worked on these mosaics. I actually finished them the night before we left Philly and got a little assist from my sister. And my next video coming out next month will be all about the full process about how I made these and how our amazing tile guy Greg installed them. But if you're curious now, I also have a big blog post in my description. But back to the entryway, where I want to show you the stair treads where the kids walked on this when the school was a school 100 years ago.
Amazing folks from Guardian Flooring, we were able to save these treads and keep them, but we were not able to save the floors in here.
Micah and Dave from Guardian Flooring did an incredible job refinishing our old floors and installing the new floors, and I'm just so thankful that we were able to save these original treads to hopefully see another 100 years.
So eventually we want to turn this little room into some sort of like a museum where we put a lot of the school pictures on the walls here, but we need to make the frames out of the old flooring that we weren't able to save. So there's a lot of work to do in here, but we do have a couple desks from my college, DePaul, and just got this off of Facebook Marketplace where we're trying to turn it into a little end table. So once you come over here, this is the other entry, and kind of call this like the Hall of Doors.
This room has undergone a lot in the last 3 years, but there are some really special things in here. First, all of the doors. When we moved home in 2023, the first thing I started working on the whole summer was stripping and refinishing all of the original Schoolhouse doors that were covered in paint and dog scratches and just needed a lot of repairs. It took a while, but I kind of got into the gross job and would work on them each night after the kids went to bed. And today, I'm just so thankful that we have these original school doors because I think they look so good.
So all of the paint that we have throughout the whole school is from a company called Up Paint, and we actually have a custom line of Schoolhouse colors where we worked with them to pull colors from the original plaster. Actually, you can see that over here. Pulled a lot of the colors from the original plaster, and you'll see these throughout the school. These are just a few of them, but the color that's in this entryway is called patina. And over here, we have a chalkboard that came from a school in Atlanta, Indiana. It came from Sean's guidance counselor. Thank you so much, Mrs. Hughes, for giving us this chalkboard. The other themes that you'll see throughout this is we've done a lot of, we've tried to restore a lot of the original things that were original to the school.
I talked about all the original doors that I refinished, but we also saved all the trim. It is painted, because we had to do so much repair work, and you don't want to know how much Bondo and wood filler is under this paint. But we saved the original trim. And one of my favorite architectural elements in the whole school is this front window vestibule transition. Is that what this is called? A lot of work went into this last summer, but it was so dang worth it.
And The other theme is hand-me-down furniture and things from the salvage shops, the local salvage shops. And this one is a really exciting one. It's a double-sided clock that we got from the folks at Madison Street Salvage here in Franklin. And the other really cool thing in this room is all of the educational prints that came from a man named Lenart. He's in Slovenia, and there's some really special stories behind that that I talked about in previous videos, including we got all of our dining chairs from Lenart from his school in Slovenia.
Speaking of dining chairs, let me take you out of the entry and into one of the school's classrooms that is now our kitchen. And holy moly, this room. It is now the most used room in the whole house. It is our favorite room, but we also did the most work in here to get it where it is today.
The previous owners had divided the room right here, where there were like a couple bedrooms right here and a kitchen in the other room. So this whole section of the room was abandoned, and it was really rough. Like if you would have walked on the floor, you probably could have fallen through.
We knew that we wanted to make this classroom our kitchen, which is a lot of weight to add to a room that previously held just a bunch of kids and desks. So we reinforced the floors from underneath and worked on planning our kitchen. The kitchen was one spot where we were able to save a ton of money because we got our kitchen cabinet bases from IKEA, and then the doors and all the nice stuff that you see from a company called Semi Handmade. Sean and I built all of the cabinets ourselves, and then Sean installed them with some advice and oversight from our dads and our carpenter friend Jed. I would not say that building the kitchen was fun, but we couldn't have afforded the kitchen we wanted without doing this. And honestly, the worst part of the whole thing was plotting it out, measuring it, and placing the IKEA order. We got our countertops from the incredible stone shop here in Indianapolis, S&F Marble and Granite, and I've got a whole video about their boneyard of exotic stone remnants and how amazing Saul and Fernando are. Now let me show you some of the really special things in this room.
These came from, there's a college in our town called Franklin College. A big thanks to Jonna, who reached out to me on Instagram and said, hey, we're getting ready to redo our kitchen. We got these at Madison Street Salvage here in Franklin. They came from Franklin College. Do you want them? And yeah.
They were exactly the kind of bar stools we were looking for, and they matched so well. And just really excited to have something from another school, something with a story. The other big thing over here in the kitchen is our table, which also came from Madison Street Salvage. What would we do without this shop? And the chairs, also very special, came from Lenart's Etsy shop in Slovenia. And like I talked about in previous videos, Lenart and I got to be friends, and I learned that these chairs came from his elementary school in Slovenia.
The table came from a library in Galesburg, Illinois.
I had told Christine, who runs Madison Street Salvage, that we were looking for a big table for big parties, preferably from some old municipal building. And because Christine is a magician and Madison Street is a magical place, this table came into a shop a few weeks later. And I've gotten so many comments from folks who are from Galesburg, Illinois. And I just want to say that it seems like your new library is really nice. And this old table is going to continue getting a lot of love over here in Indiana. So now I'm going to take you to a different classroom, the living room. So follow me.
So this is one of the original classrooms that is now our living room. We have a hand-me-down couch and rug from my parents.
But this cart table came from Saul and Fernando, who installed our countertops. And they think that this piece of onyx was a part of the slab that we chose for the countertop in our little powder bathroom. Little sidebar for just a second. I just quickly want to show you the little powder bathroom that I'm talking about here. This countertop... I went to S&F Marble and Granite here in Indy to pick out our kitchen countertops, and I'd set Arlo up with some cars next to this crazy rail car table that had the coolest piece of onyx on top. And then when Saul and Adolfo were showing me around the boneyard, there was another piece of onyx with a fascinating agate crystal pattern, and Saul said, hey, if you like this one, we can fix it. And they did, and now it's in our bathroom. And the onyx is such a wacky stone. It's actually translucent, and one of the things on my to-do list is figure out how to get the bathroom sink and the table in the living room lit from below to show off this stone's beauty. And then one day, as the guys from S&F were finishing the counters, I got a text, hey, we left something in the basement for you. And it was the rail car table. I still can't believe these guys. And yeah, if you're looking for incredibly nice humans with 30 years of gorgeous remnants, you gotta go check them out. But for now, back to the living room.
We still have a ton of work to do in this room. Eventually we'll want to put a wood stove in here, but right now we're just trying to get through the to-do list. Over here, we have a big turkey painting that I did when we lived in Philadelphia. Did this because turkeys actually used to live in this room when the school was a barn. Just some weird, quirky history of the school. Behind me, you'll see Sean's record collection. Of course, it is meticulously alphabetized. Sean got all of these records when he was in college. They all came from the dollar bin. And then we continued looking for them in New York. But it's really fun to have just a different experience of music. And you find things like Herb Alpert's Tijuana Brass or vibey tiki music. Just different things than you would normally experience just listening to Spotify. Very large Bob Dylan section. Behind the couch, we kind of just have kids' play zone where they can play up here and cause chaos. It doesn't bother us as much. And then this is a new addition that I just talked about in a previous video, our giant map of Indiana.
And we can't leave the living room without doing a little before and after. The turkey room when we bought the school, it actually was in decent shape. We tried so hard to save the original floors. They were full of turkey poop, but unfortunately we had to level out the floor a ton and there was a lot more damage than it looked like under all the paint. So the floorboards that we saved from here will also be picture frames in the future.
Okay, so gonna go to a different classroom. We'll go into what's now our bedroom. So this classroom, we divided up. We put some walls in here so that we can have a closet and our bathroom. But one thing that's interesting is these walls, a lot of the original plaster walls that we did keep, we kept the same colors of what this looked like when it was a classroom. So if we come through here into our bathroom, you can see the wall. Our tile guy, Greg, he repaired this section that's gray, but this was the wall that the kids looked at when this was a school. And so I don't know what we'll end up doing with this section, but yeah, we color matched these paints and you can find these paints on UpPaint. Just really love like the walls help tell the story of this school when it was a school. Come back through here. Here's another one of the original doors that we turned into a pocket door. This is just our closet. We have a ton of work to do in here. There are two pieces of furniture here in our bedroom that are really special. Pim, come here. This is one of Pim's beds, and it is a piece of furniture that my brother made. We've had this piece almost 10 years, and I asked him way back then to make me a little mid-century dog crate that could double as a little side table, and it's been amazing. And then through here, this room is our study.
The door into the study is not original because this little spot here used to be a built-in bookcase for the classroom. The door here came from an old Catholic school in Indianapolis, and it was part of the refinishing bonanza of summer 2023. It's got a little turkey doorknob, and I did this gold leaf on the trim because I decided after the trim was installed that I was going to stain them, not paint them. And this little middle section used to be white. In the study, we've got some original teacher magazines from our actual school, a few more maps from my big map haul, some bookcases that were going to be thrown away in an office building, and 2 more library tables. One of these tables I refinished from, you guessed it, Madison Street Salvage, and the other one, it was really rough that my dad got in an auction for $5. The legs were so rotten, so we cut them off, we made a new tabletop, and now it lives here. Originally, this room was called the Pail Room, like lunch pail, where the kids would hang their coats and lunches.
This room has gone through a lot of changes. There used to be a wall here, and there used to be stairs down into the basement, but these 2 rooms, this is a mirror of the room next to it that has our laundry room in it. They were like super skinny, and we didn't know how to make them actually useful. So what we did was we knocked down this wall, put a floor here, extended the floor here to turn this into what is now our office. So now I'll take you to the other Pail room, which has our laundry and pantry. Okay, so this is the other Pail room. We installed these cabinets from IKEA. You can actually see one of the pieces of wood where there was the rack hanging on it. In here we've just got food and stuff like that. And then these doors came from a school in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. We lived in Philly for a year while Sean was doing a fellowship, and we ended up finding the chalkboards that were in the doors were like cork boards. So we replaced these with these chalkboards, and now they are the doors to our laundry room. And we have the same tile that is at the front. You can see it in the laundry room here. And now I'll show you the final classroom. It's all our kids' rooms.
When we bought the school, these walls had been covered up with paneling. And so when we pulled down the paneling, this was another spot in the school where we found the original classroom walls with original classroom colors behind it. We repaired the plaster here and then painted this wall back to what it was when it was a school. And the colors in here are called first grade blue and corn husking bee with up paint. The latter I named after a real event that happened at the school. Some of the really special things in this classroom are the original wood floors that the actual kids walked on when this place was a school. I cannot recommend Micah and Dave enough from Guardian Flooring, and we were particularly relieved and excited when they were able to patch and repair this classroom of floors. Other special things in here include this abacus that came from an elementary school in Edinburgh, Indiana. This little board doesn't look like much, but it is so precious. When we were working on the walls in the kitchen, there was this little board in the brick that I believe helped hold up the chalkboards. You couldn't see what it said until I took it home and cleaned it, and then realized it says chicken coops, which I love that even when they were building this school, they were using salvaged materials. We've got maps, of course.
Other things in here are the doors that we used for the kids' closets. These actually came from an office building in Detroit, and we got them from Kyle, who has a huge stash of doors in Monrovia, Indiana. So if you're looking for old doors, you gotta check out Kyle. These doors are super special. On each of these doors, there used to be these deadbolt holes that we ended up covering up, little emblems of where each of the kids were born. So Margot's door has Philadelphia, and Arlo's door has a little apple for New York City. So I thought the best way to give a tour of the kids' wing is to bring in this guy. And stop touching your microphone. Bold lady for giving a 3.5-year-old a microphone. But Arlo, do you want to show us the kids' hallways?
Yeah.
Which room? You want to show the guest room first? Okay, let's go in there. What's special in this room?
This.
Oh, a door? Why?
Because it is.
Oh, you know that? Oh.
The microphone was a mistake. I won't subject you to toddler heavy breathing, but this room is a bit of a placeholder. It'll hopefully be for another kid, but until then it's just a guest room. Whenever you stay with us, you get to have toddler alarm clocks. And we've got another map in here, and then this amazing coffee table that my brother made that is currently in the Schoolhouse Furniture Protection Program from the toddlers.
Arlo, can you show me Margot's room?
Yeah.
Okay, show me Margot's room. Through here is Margot's room, and you can see a genuine toddler nest in here. And we have another one of the maps. This one's North America. Another one of the doors. And little Bob Dylan poster. All right, Arlo, do you want to show off your room? Oh, Arlo, we got to show the winter scene. What's in here?
Some.
Yeah? Do you like them?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
They're camping.
They're camping?
And he's waiting for food.
Yeah. Pretty soon we need to put like bunnies in here, right? Yeah, maybe the little pet shop animals. Can you show me your room?
Hey.
All right, and this is Arlo's room. What's special about this room, bud?
The bed.
Oh, the bed. Yeah, this was Mama's old bed when I was a little kid.
It was?
Yeah, you knew that.
Yeah.
And we have another map. What are these wall guys called?
The guts.
The guts guys? Did you request these for your wall? You did? Yeah.
It's a button right in
Your
here.
barn is very organized. Oh, not today. There's some umbrellas and a squirt gun in there. Your chickens seem like they're having a great time today.
Give up the eggs.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks, bud. And then finally, this is the kids' bathroom. And you can see this labradorite from S&F. And yeah, nothing super crazy. Little Pim in here.
Okay, and now for the final part of the tour, I'm going to take you down to the basement. No, but really, it was creepy as heck when we bought the school. It was damp, full of stuff, full of water, and full of a creature new to me back in 2021, but who I now know as the guardians of HE double hockey sticks themselves, sprickets. Also known as camel spiders, also known as spider crickets. They're completely harmless, but their main tactic of defense is jumping at you. It took like 2 whole years of work before my sister-in-law would set foot down here. Oh, also, it had a dungeon, but we're keeping that name and that room and that door, don't you worry. After a lot of cleaning and some pressure washing and more cleaning and shop vacuuming and an entirely new layer of concrete to rest on top of the crumbly barnyard stuff, the basement is feeling better.
What's up, Arlo?
Look, get that dirty towel out of here.
Get the dirty towel out of here? That's what's dirty in here?
When you're done cleaning.
Yeah, when I'm done cleaning. The dirty towel that I used to clean up your juice, that's what's dirty in here?
Yes.
Really? Okay, now I will take you downstairs to the basement. I have just lost Sean, my videographer, to a battle with honeysuckle. And I already talked about this mosaic, but yeah, going down to the basement, and yeah, I feel like I keep working down here and it just never ends. Over here, we have another one of the prints from Lenart in Slovenia, and I just started painting this trim and I had to patch some spots, so that's why that looks like here. This room has changed a ton. But this is what this room looks like now. And in here, we've just got our excess pantry, just some canned goods. This cabinet, I've talked about it before, but it was a cabinet from Tina and Brian, and it actually was the cabinet in our elementary school, Hopewell Elementary, and we were the last class to go to that school. And so this was in Mrs. Hukin's 2nd grade class, and the names are still on it, which is crazy. So back here, we just have more storage and just like some Christmas stuff. Not a ton of interesting things in here. And getting ready to hang some of these maps down here. But yeah, so this is the center room in the basement. This room will end up being our cocktail cellar. Still have a ton of work to do here, but we're getting electric put in here thanks to Breeden Electric. And one big update that I did in here was actually just sealed this wall. So when you see me scratch at this wall, nothing falls off, which is amazing. But in here, just tons of stuff just like crumbles to the wall. And I'm really tired of cleaning it up, so going to fix that. But basically the room is the basement is a lot of storage. This little room, I will show you the before. But now this room looks like this. It's just a lot of like active projects, painting some shelves for the kids and just have like paints and stuff stored down here. Here we have the old HVAC, I use that with air quotes, panel where you could control the ductwork on the roof to let cold air in or warm air out. I believe there's also electrical here, which is why this old dusty stuff is here. Through here, we just got a treadmill because we cannot run on the roads. We both are really big runners, and yeah, it's just been kind of frustrating to not be running as much, but now we have a way to do that and it's really exciting. But this room, it's just a lot of our window trim for whenever we get the windows fixed. This room is the dungeon. It is a miracle that the dungeon is looking so tidy right now because I just tidied it up a bunch. Normally it looks like this. Be careful, guys. But this is what it's looking like.
I talked about building the dungeon in my Christmas video, but this room, like all the other rooms in this school, has come a long way. Right now, it's one of the most fun places to scheme and think about really playful things to do. We still have to fix all the windows. Don't even get me started on those issues. I'll talk about them later. But even though nothing is finished and stuff feels super hodgepodge down here, it's so fun, especially in the winter. A lot of Facebook Marketplace has gone into this room, and it's just like fun to think about the silly and magical things to do down here. From box cottage villages to the swings to dusting off my rollerblade skills, the dungeon is the best room in the basement. And when the kids are driving me nuts, there is a little thrill of delight in saying, "That's it, you two, get your booties down to the dungeon."
Through here, this is just kind of our workshop room. I've been organizing and reorganizing things. Right now, I'm prepping some lights for here in the basement for Sean Breeden, our electrician, but mostly I've just been organizing stuff.
This room before, same as all the others. Really damp, lots of creepy crawlies, an old cistern, graveyard of old stoves and water heaters. She's come a long way. But this next room I'm going to show you, I think that one was probably the worst in the basement.
Now finally, we'll go through here to the last downstairs classroom. And it's just another construction room of stuff that we've got to fix and do and put away.
This room, when we bought the school, was on the southwest side of the building where there was the most water getting into the building through the masonry, which you can tell from all the things growing out of it. We did these repairs, and eventually we'd like to build a little guest quarters of sorts down here so that family, friends, adult children, whatever happens in life, have a place to crash. And that's the full tour of the basement. If you've made it this far in the video, I'm super impressed. This is definitely the most time I've ever spent editing a video, and I just want to thank you so much for sticking around. Up next in the Schoolhouse homework queue, I'll be sharing more about how I made these custom mosaics for our schoolhouse entrances, and I'm really excited to get to work on the yard. We've got some really big plans to make the outdoor space the most magical play area and roof deck hangout around, so stay tuned. And as always, if you've got ideas of little quirky details you think we should be adding to the school, I'm all ears. Leave a comment with ideas or more stuff you'd like to see. Until next time, thank you so much for being on this weird little journey with us.